the COVID thing came about, and for a while it felt like you were the only place that was offering different perspectives on lockdowns, that was creating space for people who had queries about vaccines, that it became a place where a lot of people clustered, right? I think. And but that hadn't, that wasn't, that was coming. That wasn't what you said. Didn't brand yourself as like, this is the place to come if you want to think through these things. How did you navigate that editorially, philosophically, ethically? Where did you find, and it's a very incoherent question, but where did you go looking for wisdom as you and the team sought to navigate your way through that? Which, as you've said, there's like big ditches to fall in on either side and all around.
The COVID thing was kind of my obsession. I mean, I suppose we all were obsessed with it when we weren't allowed to leave our homes because of it. But the truth is, I just had a very strong reaction to the idea that suddenly we could shut down all of society and force people to remain in their homes on the basis of so many unknowns. So I never doubted that was wrong, actually. We tried, we included all perspectives, and I really did my best when quizzing people who are either in favor of the measures or against them to put the opposing arguments. But the whole way that decision was arrived at to shut down pretty much the entire world, I think should be rightly studied for decades. And my view, I don't think this is a secret, is that it was the wrong one. I'm, as we've talked about, I'm half Swedish. Didn't happen in Sweden. I went to Sweden in May, June, or thereabouts in 2020, and it was like a completely different universe. Yeah. Everyone was going about their business. Yeah, of course, there were cautions and people weren't exactly the same as normal, but it was an open, normal society, and the levels of sick people were by no means higher. So I just had this very strong sense that there was another way to do it. We had some interviews that launched the YouTube channel where we spoke to actually some Swedish scientists, very senior, convincing, good epidemiologists who were like, well, no one's ever done this before, locking people down. It's not a scientific approach. There have been very small examples of shutdowns in small parts of cities, but no one's ever tried to shut the whole world down. It's a sort of outrageously reckless, ambitious project. It's never happened before. I don't think in all of history it's never happened. And yet that very same tone, which was educated people sneering at people who disagreed or questioned it as proletariat imbeciles, basically, peasants with pitchforks who didn't understand the science and were a danger, was very much a continuation of that Brexity mood. And I thought it was just completely outrageous. And not only on the evidence, which I now think we have quite a lot of, and I have to share my killer statistic here. I know it's not the topic of your podcast, but in case anyone is interested, Sweden, after these 3.5 years, the only country in Europe that never did a lockdown, has at least either the lowest or second lowest excess death numbers of that 3-year period of all 28 countries in Europe. So for me, the evidence is there, and people just aren't accepting it. But why I reacted so strongly, it pushed all of those buttons of unfairness, high-handedness, and a deep misunderstanding to me about what was important about life, because the logic of those lockdowns was that there was only one metric that was worthwhile, and that was infections and deaths from COVID. And everything else in the vast tapestry of life receded in service of those metrics. So it was a sort of ultra technocrat view, and sort of utilitarianism gone wild. And so myopic somehow. And all of those things that didn't come up, didn't show on charts.
Yeah.
My parents, who are getting older, suddenly being stuck in their house for month after month, visibly diminishing, not being able to live their normal active lives. Many, happily, my parents have recovered from that, but I know that many people didn't.
Yeah.
And all of, young people's education, the beauty, frankly, of life, the purpose of life, was just ignored in favor of a very strictly utilitarian calculus, which became tyrannical. And I think it's a real lesson of how thinking can go wrong and how dangerous educated people can be when they have very narrow values.